Hi, good morning. I was going to start my video on the morning walk with Penelope, but I got a phone call, and that's fine. Yeah, it was my sister. So, I would rather talk to her. I hate to say it, but I would. And then I was going to start my video when I got in the car, and somebody else called me, and I was like, really? So now I'm sitting in the Costco parking lot so I can get my video started, and hopefully no one else will call until I at least finish a portion of it. But I wanted to say, Janet said yesterday in a comment, I actually wrote her name down so I would remember. I'm going to try to do better at that. But she said her biggest fear is always that something will happen when she's naked and she'll have to call 911 or something, like falling in the tub. And I've had that thought so many times. One time I was trying to get out of the tub and my hand slipped and I slammed my arm against the side of the tub. I thought I'd broken my arm. So I didn't, but that's what I thought. And I was like, oh crap, how am I going to get out of the tub? Because it's hard to use this hand to reach over and pull yourself up, even though I did when I had this surgery. But it's still hard. And I was bad about putting baby oil in my tub back then. I don't do that anymore because I'm too afraid of falling now. I mean, once you break your back, you don't want to fall anymore. You know what I'm saying? But, because I broke my back falling. Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. Yeah. So, anyway, I went to my mom called me. And this is when I was living in the neighborhood, thank God. Or I'd had to drove across town. But she was like, I'd had to driven. Whatever. She's like, hey, I got in the tub and I can't get out. Not because she was stuck in the tub, but because she didn't have the strength to get herself out of the tub. Yes, this was in her much latter years. Yes, when she was stuck in the tub, she was able to get herself out of the tub. But yeah, anyway, we made it a point to tell her, you need to get in the shower from now on. But like me, she liked her tub baths, Sometimes women just like to soak in a tub. And that's what she wanted to do. However, she couldn't get herself out. So, I had to get the belt. The belt? I think it's called a gate belt. You wrap it around them and you hang on to it while they're walking. And if they fall, it's easier to pick them up when you have a gate belt. Yeah, so I wrapped that around her. And I'm in the tub behind her, trying to lift her up. And we couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, I might have to call 911 to get you help. And she was like, no, if you're going to call 911, you have to get my clothes on. I was like, how am I going to get your clothes on when I can't even lift you up? And she was like, you can't call 911 and me naked. And I said, well, I can cover you with a towel. No, we'll get up. And we kept trying and we kept trying. And you know what? I got that woman out of the freaking tub. I said, please don't ever get back in the tub again. Okay? Did she listen to me? No, she did not. However, the next time she did it, my dad was home and could help me get her out of the tub. She was hard-headed and strong-willed, and if she put her mind to it, she's going to do it. And she thought, oh, I'll be able to get myself up. Yeah, don't we all have those thoughts every now and then? Oh, yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah, I'm going in Costco, so I'll be back. My dear Jesus, help me. Good morning. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. I had to go to Costco this morning. I might have to take to the bed. It was so exhausting. You know why it was so exhausting? Because I had a bad buggy. A shopping cart, a trolley, whatever you want to call it. My friend Jenny, she lives in Pennsylvania. She said, surely you don't call them buggies. And I said, surely we do. And don't call me Shirley. Yeah, we call them buggies. I don't know why. I can't help it. It's just what we call them, okay? Leave your hair alone, Tracy. Well, anyway, I had a bad buggy. Now, when I first started pushing the buggy, it had a slight bit of resistance, okay? Just an ever so slight bit of resistance. Well, I kept going, and then I put a 48 bottles of beer on the wall, 48 bottles of beer. I put 48 bottles of water, as a big package of water. I put that in the buggy, and then I grabbed another 48 bottles of beer on the wall, and I put it in the buggy, and then I grabbed a case of Coke, and I put it in the buggy. Y'all, it took everything I had to push that buggy, and you should have seen me trying to go around corners with the buggy because I couldn't hardly push it. And of course, it's this tall. I can't hardly see over it as it is. And then I was having to put my whole body into it just to guide it. But I stopped and had a conversation with a man who, I don't know, he was, spokesperson, I don't know, for Izzy Water or something like that. I don't know. He said, "You want to try it?" And I said, "Yeah, mostly because I'm thirsty." And I drank it, a little about that much. And I was like, "Are you sure this don't have artificial sweetener?" And then he had to read me the whole freaking box. It doesn't have artificial sweetener. It just had a weird kind of, it's good. It just, something in it was like, I think it was the flavor. I think it was mango. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He pointed to my Coca-Colas in my buggy, and he said it's better for kids to get them off so much sugar. I don't know how much sugar they have in them. Probably less than a Coke. I don't know. But I said, well, these are for my office. So he said, "Do you have children at your office?" I mean, I get that if it's a daycare, but do you have children at your office? No. I mean, sometimes I'm the child, but I'm going to be 60 this year, so whatever. I'm not the youngest, but sometimes I'm the one that acts like a child the most. Until Danny shows up, and then Danny's the child. But that's neither here nor there, sir. Then he asked me, what kind of work do I do? And I said, well, it's a window treatment company. And he was like, oh. Well, then he decided to tell me his life story, as people often do. And he said that he owns a house, and this woman has been living in the house, and she was an interior designer, and she's such a good interior designer that she decorated Elton John's home. Please stand by. All right, I had to get the sound turned off on the TV because God forbid you hear NCIS playing on my TV. Am I right? Anyway, he tells me this big long story about this woman who decorated Elton John's house. I don't know. Does he have a house in Atlanta? I'm assuming. I think he does. Anyway, he said she lived in my house in Cobb County, and he said she finally bought her a house and she moved out. And he said, let me tell you, it was the nastiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But he said she had 8 dogs and 8 cats. That's an odd number, 8 of each. But anyway, in her house. And she also had rats. He said, that's some sorry cats when you have 8 cats and you've got rats. I said, well, I could have rats with my sorry cat, but she's 18 years old and she's never even seen a rat, so I don't know actually how she would respond to it. All she does to birds is chatter at the window, so I don't know. But anyway, he said the house was nasty and there was, poo everywhere. And anyway, he said it was just terrible and mud everywhere. And he said, I'm completely having to redo it. He said, isn't that something? I was like, that is something. That's why people don't want to rent their homes anymore. Or they charge such outrageous prices, but it sounds like she could afford the outrageous prices. And she was just nasty, you know what I'm saying? That was that exciting conversation. But yeah, my arms, oh my gosh, I'm so tired from pushing that dadgum buggy around. Ah, please stand by. Well, that's going to be it for part 1, and I'll see you later for part 2, okay? Toodles for now. Have a great day. Well, hello, it's Penelope and I. I watched a comedian this morning, and was it a comedian? Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about, sorry, I had to argue with myself. He was talking about taking his dog to the vet. And he said, you know, most of veterinarian work is just guesswork. Hey, can you get off my lap? I need to sit up. Can you, look, you get off my lap and let me sit up, and then you can crawl back on my lap, okay? Now you can come back. You don't want to come back now? Okay, that's fine. So he said it's guesswork because you take them in there and they're like, well, I mean, to know for sure, we're going to have to send him for an x-ray. But I think it's this. And if it's this, then we're going to have to do this. But if the x-ray doesn't show anything, then we're going to have an ultrasound. And if we have to have an ultrasound, then I'm thinking it's probably this. But it's going to be very expensive, and I just want you to know that ahead of time, that the x-ray is going to cost you, you know, more than your first car. He was just talking silly stuff like that. But then he said something that absolutely cracked me up, because he reminded me of my Penny girl. He said he got this dog, and it's kind of a long-haired dog like Penny. And he took it to the groomer, and the groomer groomed the dog all over. Comes home looking all cute, doing great. And the next day, all of a sudden, the dog would take a few steps and sit down. Take a few steps and sit down. And he's like, what is wrong with my dog? What has happened to my dog? What did they do to my dog at the groomers yesterday that he can't walk? Because he was walking yesterday just fine. So this continues on, and he finally picks up the phone and he calls the vet's office. And he's like, I don't know what happened to my dog, but my dog takes a few steps and sits down. Takes a few steps and sits down. And that's what he's been doing all day, but he was never doing that before I took him to the groomer yesterday. And the vet tech said, let me go check with the vet, and I'll be right back. And so she tells the whole thing to the vet, and the vet's like, Breezy butthole. And the vet tech's like, yeah, that's what I thought. So she goes back out there, and she's like, picks up the phone, and she's like, sir, I just talked to the vet. And the vet agreed with me on what the issue is. And the guy's like, great, what is it? And she goes, well, he's got a breezy butthole. And he said, he's got a what? And she said, a breezy butthole. Well, you know, if you think about it, yesterday he was covered with hair back there. And he's really never had his hair cut short back there to know what it feels like to have the hair cut short. So he's got a breezy butthole. I always said that I must have cut her hair too short and that the hairs are tickling, but maybe it is a breezy butthole instead of her hairs tickling her. Huh? I remember Joan calling me, and she said there's something wrong with Rosemary. And so I go over there to check on Rosemary because apparently I'm a vet, and I wished I had known. Well, I mean, I kind of did. I said, oh, well, that just means that they cut her too close on her back end, except I didn't say back end. I actually said butthole. But it was so hard for me to actually say butthole to her because It's kind of like talking to your preacher that way, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that was the funny part about the butthole word. And it's probably tickling. And she goes, oh, do you think? And then I looked at the dog's bottom, and she had a complete circle shaved, gone. She had a definite breezy butthole, okay? I'm sorry to keep saying it, but I was like, that's her problem. I just thought it was short hair tickling, but no, it's breezy. It's very breezy, okay? So, yeah, next time your dog gets groomed and he starts sitting down real quick and don't want to get up and move, it's because he's got a breezy butthole, okay? He can't help it, or she can't help it, that they were groomed so short on their backside. Well, other than being breezy, hello, Gracie. Hello, darling. I was going to show my chainsaw again today because someone asked me to in the comments. Did I remember their name? No, I did not. I'm working on it, okay? I'm a work in progress. But it's raining-ish. It's raining off and on. So I don't want to get my chainsaw out and try to cut a tree that's wet. I don't know if it'll mess up a chain. I don't know what it'll do, you know? So I'm just gonna wait and I'll try that one again. She's being nice. It scares me sometimes when she's nice, doesn't it? Yes, so sometimes we're a little bit afraid because we never know when it's gonna change, isn't that right? Are you the most beautiful girl in the world? You know what I wish you would do? I wish you would stop waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning by running up and down the halls and calling out to your people. I need for your internal clock to change to 7 o'clock. Could you make that happen? Do you want a treat? Because I need to go check the dryer anyway, because it shut off. Well, anyway, I'll be back. There's kind of nowhere to go after you talk about a breezy butthole. Am I right? I'm sure someone's not going to find the humor in it. You know what I'm saying? It never fails. Even if I warn people that it might be distasteful, they're still going to comment and tell me it was distasteful. And I'm like, well, I told you not to watch. Sheesh. I don't know. I'm like a 12-year-old boy. I find things hilarious like breezy buttholes and talking about Phoenix watching Penny poop and getting all mortified over it and things like that. It's funny. Phoenix came over yesterday and she said that she had a new grandma. I said, a new one? And she goes, yeah. I said, so you have 3? She said, no. Okay. I said, where'd the new one come from? She said, it's my mom's mom. Okay. What, I don't know why I'm trying here, but why does that make her new? And she goes, I don't know. And I was like, okay, you know, I don't know why I ask. And then Naomi told me some very personal things going on about her sister, which, heaven forbid, I'm not going to repeat because people got all upset on the last video I made. Not the last video I made, but the last video I made where I mentioned her mom and her sister and their problems. Oh my gosh, as people got all upset that I was talking about them. And I was like, y'all don't know who they are. What does it matter? Nobody knows them. I mean, okay, well, anyway, she told me her sister was having an issue. We'll just put it that way. And she said, and I'm sure most of you will pick up on what I'm saying. She said, I hate when she's like this because she's mean. I said, you know what? In a few years, you'll understand. And she was like, I don't want to understand. And I said, well, none of us do, but it just kind of happens. I mean, I didn't really get mean. I just didn't feel great. But it happens to some people that they get mean. And she was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, yeah, you probably will, but okay, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this breezy butthole video. Remember, I love you. Jesus loves you. I hope he's coming back soon because people be crazy. And I will talk to you on the next Tracy Tries, which, good Lord willing, will be tomorrow, okay? Doodles, my noodles, and stay silly, my friends. Goodbye.